So how old were you when you say, okay, I'm about to take the responsibility to take care of grandma's house?
Man, I probably had to been about 15, 16 years old once I could understand what was going on. Because when I got that old and I seen what was going on, I'm like, damn, this been happening. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, this been happening. You know, I'm like, dang, we been po like this here. You know,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and that was my goal, and I was able to accomplish that goal. You know, to remodel their whole house and things like that, and I felt good about it. But shit, I couldn't turn that money loose after that. You know?
Did you have a crew?
Yeah, I had a crew.
Like you was the leader of the crew, or you was getting work for
Yeah,
something?
I always been the leader of the crew. You know,
Okay.
it's I don't know. I just guess I got that aura. To lead, cause I'm a dude that I'm gonna make sure everybody good. I'm gonna make sure everybody shine. You know, you ain't gonna have two dudes in my crew with a car and three ain't got no car. Everybody gonna have a car. Everybody gonna have jewelry. Everybody gonna have clothes. I'm gonna make sure everybody good. I'm gonna make sure everybody gonna have a lawyer. I'm gonna make sure everybody gonna be bonded out of jail. No, I'm gonna do what a leader do. And that's just a natural. That's just natural for me.
Okay, walk us through this $180,000 lick you hit, or you got. How? But I want to know: did they bring the money in a suitcase, a bag? How was the money delivered? Like, and what sparked you to do that?
Well, the money wasn't delivered. What happened was I had an associate. I ain't gonna really even call him my homeboy. Came to me. He was trying to cross his homeboys. And they had a little thing where they all put their money together and they make a move, to go cop or whatever. So once my associate put me up on the lick, I started sitting on the dude. I started watching him. I want to know, do he come home every night? Where he go at? I watched him for about a week. And and when the time was right, I jumped out and dropped that gun on him. Took me in his house. I gotta give dude credit though. He didn't really wanna open that door because his old lady and his kids was in there. His kid was in there. He didn't really want to open that door. And by me watching him and seeing him use a key to get in his house every day, when I draw down on him, he tried to knock on the door. And I say, in my mind, I say in my mind, I was like, this probably they little cold. If he knock on the door, I told him, I said, nigga, I've been watching you, nigga. Don't knock on that door. Open that door. You know. So once he opened the door, we go in there. This old lady, she come out and she see what's going on. I tell her, no, come on. Sit him on the couch, lay him down. I asked him where the money at. His homeboy already told me where the money at. His homeboy already told me. So boom, where he keep his money at. I end up laying him down. He ain't really, he ain't really want to buck physically, but he was trying to like, ain't nothing, man. He tried to shoot me a little bread in his pocket. I was like, no, I know where that money at. You got about 100 and something in here too. I already know it. So I tell him, one of your homeboys already put me up on the lick. So my whole play now is to start deception in their circle. Because in my mind, the dude put me on the lick, I'm gonna buck him too. What he gonna do? He can't say, you know, because reason being I'm gonna buck him is because the deal between me and him was once I hit the lick, I give him his money back and we split the rest. So in my mind now, I'm thinking like, well, damn. Even though once I think about it, you know, he was right. He should have got his money. We split whatever was left. But in my mind, I'm like, shit, he gonna have more than me. I'm doing all the work.
Right. And the beef on you now.
Right. You know. So You know, I let dude know, like, man, hey, man, your homeboy already put me on the lick, man. I already know you supposed to be going to Miami, Blase Squad. I tell him everything what's supposed to be going on, but I'm doing that on purpose. Because the whole week I'm sitting on him, I'm saying, I'm gonna buck this other nigga too. You know, and that's what really gave me my boost to be able to go cop my own, you know, to be able to go do all the things that I need to do to really, really get in the game, to really get going, you know. Because I had a couple of homeboys, a couple of them gone, dead and gone now. It was me, Smiley, Big Keith, Big Simmons, you know. That's all we did was hit licks.
So like when you started hustling on Flash Street,
Yeah.
how did the women treat you? How was the people in the neighborhood treating you?
The people in the neighborhood, they love me because ain't nobody gonna starve. You know, the way I had my setup was, it was some more dudes out there in Flag Street hustling at the time. And I ain't gonna call their name, but it was some more dudes out there hustling, but my whole plan was to take that whole project over. And the way I had my thing set up, the way I ran my situation was, if you in my immediate circle, you couldn't serve the users. You know, that was for all the other jits and whatever, you know, coming up. You gonna supply them. You not gonna serve the users. We're gonna leave that money for them. Because now we're gonna be sucking up all the money. So if we leave that money for them, everybody happy.
Smart.
You know, man, I used to throw big parties, big block parties out there. All you gotta do is show up. You know, food, drinks, everything. You know, I ain't letting nobody get throwed out. I'll pay their rent. I could run from the police and I could run in any apartment out there with ease. You know, because I made sure everybody was good. Can't nobody say that I was a slimy dude, I came up, I didn't bless everybody. I blessed everybody. Everybody. Sometimes I had a thing called the boss man deals. Certain days, if they come to the spot and I'm there, you come to the spot with $100, you might leave there with $200 worth of dope. You know, things like that. You know, they can't never say, man, he's a slimy dude, he did this. Yeah, I did slimy stuff outside of my circle. That's the way the game go. You know, that's how it's respected. You know, ain't no rules to the game. The game ain't to be told, it's to be sold.